Hi, and welcome back to Authentically ADHD. I am your host, Carmen. I'm a late diagnosed ADHDer, an early childhood special educator, and a certified life and performance coach. I created this podcast to help as many ADHDers as I could to learn about your specific ADHD. I know that when I was late diagnosed, I was sent out the door with meds and no help. We have to do a lot of this work on our own, but if we join together in community, we can live more authentically and with more joy in our lives. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, and welcome back to Authentically ADHD. Today, we are diving into a topic that's very close to my heart. It's also crucial for many of us navigating life with ADHD, and sometimes it's a touchy subject, and that is the transformative power of exercise. Now, if you have an issue with the word exercise, a lot of us people with ADHD, we have an issue with the word exercise because we have a specific picture of what that looks like in our brains, right? So if you want to use the word movement, if you want to use the word health, whatever it is for you, the transformative power of moving your body is really what we're going to talk about today. I have a previous episode where we explored how ADHD impacts our daily lives, and we discussed strategies for managing those challenges with exercise. It's actually one of my top listened to episodes. So today we're taking an updated deep dive into the science behind why exercise is not just beneficial, but sometimes really essential for the ADHD brain. Before we get started, let's revisit a key insight from that previous discussion. We highlighted how ADHD affects neurotransmitter levels and brain function, leading to difficulties with focus, impulse control, and emotional regulation. So now let's explore how exercise directly addresses these challenges and why it's more than just a physical activity. It's a game changer for ADHD management. And I'm telling you this with science-backed research and my own personal experience with success and some of my clients' experience with success. Are you ready? Let's get started. So let's talk first about the neurochemical impact of movement and ADHD. One of the neurotransmitters crucially involved in ADHD is dopamine. It's often referred to as the brain's reward chemical or happy chemical or motivation. It does play a key role in motivation, but also attention and pleasure, and essentially it acts as the brain's way of reinforcing behaviors that are beneficial or rewarding or that just feel good. For individuals with ADHD, our dopamine levels are often lower than average, making it harder to experience that motivation, sustain our attention, or to feel a sense of reward from completing these daily tasks. This is why mundane activities like answering emails, cleaning up, doing paperwork, sitting through long meetings, it can feel excruciatingly difficult. Our brains simply don't get the same dopamine hit that neurotypical brains do. However, exercise changes the game by naturally stimulating dopamine production, making it one of the most effective non-medication strategies for managing ADHD symptoms overall. So how does exercise rewire dopamine pathways? Research has consistently shown that even a single session of moderate aerobic exercise, like a 30-minute walk, run, weightlifting, or cycling session, can significantly increase dopamine levels in the brain, leading to improved focus and concentration, reduced impulsivity and hyperactivity, increased motivation and drive, and enhanced mood and emotional regulation. Here's where it gets super interesting. Regular exercise doesn't just boost dopamine temporarily. It actually changes how our brains process it over time. Brain imaging studies suggest that long-term exercise or movement can increase dopamine receptor availability, meaning that the brain becomes more efficient at using dopamine rather than just releasing a bunch of it and sucking it up super fast. This is huge for ADHD brains because it means we can improve our ability to experience motivation and reward over time. A 2021 study published in Neuroscience and Behavioral Reviews found that consistent physical activity promotes neuroplasticity, which is the ability for the brain to change, and it allows the brain to create new neural pathways that improve executive functioning and self-regulation. High-intense activities such as sprinting, dancing, or HIIT workouts, which are high-intensity workouts, are particularly effective because they flood the brain with dopamine, mimicking the way a stimulant medication works. Isn't that so insane? And I can tell you that when I take my walk, I do my walk before I take my medication. I take my medication about 30 minutes after I walk. And because my brain already has been flooded with dopamine, I don't even recognize when my medication has kicked in or the exercise, like which one is helping boost my motivation. So this means that while we might struggle with motivation before exercising, the act of getting started and sticking with a regular routine can actually retrain our brains to produce and process dopamine more effectively. I can tell you that this is something that happened to me. I don't feel right, I don't feel regulated if I don't get my exercise in the morning. I need at least 30 minutes of vigorous walking, weightlifting, dancing around, jumping around, whatever it is. All right. Now, let's go a little bit beyond dopamine because there are other neurotransmitters at play here. While dopamine gets a lot of the attention, it's not the only brain chemical that exercise impacts. Let's talk about the other two heavy hitters, norepinephrine. This neurotransmitter plays a key role in alertness and focus. And guess what? It's often dysregulated in our ADHD brains. Surprise, surprise. Exercise increases norepinephrine levels, which enhances cognitive function and reaction time. Also, serotonin, often called the feel-good transmitter. Serotonin is crucial for mood stability, impulse control, and emotional regulation, areas that many of us with ADHD struggle with. Physical activity boosts those serotonin levels, helping reduce stress, anxiety, and emotional regulation. And I'm telling you, it doesn't just help with those things, but I've noticed a significant increase on my ability to handle my hyperactivity, like behaviors, when I am regularly exercising. Now, yes, I said when I am regularly exercising. I am not preaching to you here that I'm some perfect human being that exercises in a regular routine every single day. I fall off the wagon. I fall off. I fail. I stop. Whatever it is, but I'm persistent and I get back up and I always start again. So when we exercise, we're not just improving dopamine levels, we're creating a chemical cocktail that supports better focus, mood, and self-regulation, aka our ADHD. I can tell you firsthand, this is not just a theory, it's something I experience all the time. For the longest time, I struggled with morning grogginess, motivation, and getting started on tasks. Classic ADHD struggles. But once I committed to starting my day, it first started with brisk runs. Everything changed from then. I felt more awake without needing extra cups of coffee. My thoughts felt clearer, and I was able to transition into my work much more easily. I had to walk before transitioning into my work today. My usual restlessness and distractibility are noticeably lower, making it easier to stay on task, and my mood has improved. I feel less overwhelmed by minor frustrations that I used to blow up about. The most shocking part, the benefits lasted throughout the day. It wasn't just temporary. I found that I was more productive, less anxious, and better able to manage my emotions even hours after exercising. Now I do try to treat exercise like medication for my ADHD, because in many ways, that's exactly what it is. I don't always get that 30 minutes. No, I don't take it as perfect, right? I get up and I try again. And if I don't have the capacity for a 30-minute workout, 5 minutes gets you enough, and it still builds those neural pathways. The science is clear. Exercise isn't just good for our bodies. It's one of the most powerful tools we have for regulating our ADHD brains. Naturally increasing that dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin, physical activity can help us feel more focused, more motivated, and more in control. So whether it's a short walk, a dance break, or a full workout, movement is medicine for our brain. And the best part, it's really accessible to everyone, anytime, anywhere. Search it on YouTube. I have a Fitbit app. I used to be a body partner before the company did some things I didn't agree with, and I believe that their things are just too expensive. The superfood shake is okay, but not for the money that I was spending and not for how fast it goes bad. I love their workout programs, though. Those definitely got me toned, and I will definitely be just buying my favorite workout programs. But I have enough on my Fitbit premium app right now to last me. So really picking those things that help motivate you, those things help. Let's talk about how exercise enhances our executive functions, starting with working memory. So it's not just about immediate boost of neurotransmitters and all these things. It also has a direct lasting impact on other executive functions, which is one of the biggest struggles for individuals with ADHD. So what are executive functions? Think of them as the brain's CEO, the set of cognitive skills that are responsible for focus, working memory, cognitive flexibility, impulse control, and planning and organization. For those of us with ADHD, executive function deficits can make life super frustrating. From struggling to remember what we just read to jumping between tasks without even finishing anything. The good news, exercise is directly strengthens these functions by improving the brain structure and its function and the connectivity. So how does it do this? There's fascinating science behind how physical activity rewires the brain to enhance executive functioning. First, increased blood flow to the prefrontal cortex. Our prefrontal cortex is the command center for the executive functions, and ADHD brains often have reduced activity in this region. Exercise increases the blood flow and oxygen delivery to the PFC, helping it function more efficiently. A study published in Neuropsychologica found that just 20 minutes of aerobic exercise significantly improved response inhibition and cognitive flexibility with individuals with ADHD, meaning it improved their ability to stop and think before doing, or their ability to transition between tasks. It also creates stronger neural connections. Exercise promotes neuroplasticity, or in other words, the brain's ability to form and strengthen connections. Regular movement helps build stronger neural pathways between the PFC and other areas of the brain, improving self-regulation, decision-making, and impulse control. Neuroplasticity is basically telling you that, hey, remember, the brain is also a muscle. So when you're working out your physical muscles in your physical body, it is actually also promoting the growth and the strength of your brain, because your brain's a muscle. So the other thing it does is it boosts working memory and learning. Studies show that exercise increases levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor. All right, that's a protein that supports neuron growth and learning, okay? It's crucial for working memory, which is often impaired in ADHD. Research from Harvard Medical School suggests that the BDNF acts like Miracle-Gro for the brain, strengthening connections between neurons, improving information retention. What's really amazing about these improvements in executive function aren't just short-term. With the consistent movement that we might do, they build over time, making ADHD symptoms more manageable in daily life. How this plays out. Let's look at this in a real-world context. Before exercise, you sit down to work, but you can't focus. Your brain feels foggy, and you keep grabbing your phone. You have a to-do list, but it feels overwhelming, so you procrastinate, scroll, and do other things instead. After your exercise, so take a 10-minute walk, do some jumping jacks, suddenly thoughts feel a little clearer. You seem to be able to organize and prioritize your tasks, and you're a little less tempted by those distractions. That's the power of movement. It jumpstarts your executive functions, helping you work with your ADHD brain, not against it. So, here's some practical tips to use movement to boost executive function. Exercise before the task that requires the most focus. Struggling to start a mentally demanding task like paperwork or doing a podcast? Try 5 to 10 minutes of movement first. Jumping jacks, a quick dance to your favorite song, or just a brisk walk around your house or around the block can help prime your brain for focus. I also do the next one, which is using movement as a brain reset. When ADHD brains get stuck or overwhelmed, motivation equals emotional regulation. So, wait, I don't know if I said that right. Did I say emotion? Let's try that again. When ADHD brains get stuck or overwhelmed, getting our bodies into motion equals emotional regulation. If you feel frustrated, restless, or distracted, try going to move your body for a few minutes to reset your mind and regain control. I also use this to transition between tasks. So when I transition from doing my podcast to other work that I need to do today, in between those two things, I will be doing some physical movement. And it'll probably be just a quick walk around the block, or a walk around the house, or a laundry switch over, up and down the stairs a few times. There are so many choices that we can use that it really makes it impossible to kind of make those excuses that it's too hard to access. And again, make it fun and make it ADHD friendly. The key to consistency is finding movement that you actually like, whether that's yoga, kickboxing, trampoline jumping, running, or playing with your pet. Movement should feel rewarding and not like a chore. I found that running helped me. Running helped with my emotional regulation. Now, eventually, running caused more of a negative impact physically on my body than it was doing positively for my brain. But I found that walking on an incline for a certain amount of time at a certain rate equals the same thing as running a certain amount of miles. So what I do is I save my new episodes of TV shows that come out at different days of the week and whatever for when I'm walking on that incline if I can't walk outside. My favorite thing is to walk outside. There's plenty of hills where I live and I can get that power walking done. But with the indoor walking and the treadmill, I use those shows for motivation. It's a new episode. I get excited. Here we go. Ready? So, the science is crystal clear. Exercise is not just good for our physical health. It's a powerful tool for managing ADHD, improving focus, memory, and self-regulation. By intentionally using movement as part of our daily routine, we can enhance executive function and really thrive with ADHD. So, try moving first next time you feel foggy or restless or unmotivated and see if it works. Next, we're going to talk about emotional regulation, stress management, a little bit more of expert insight, and how we can build this into our lives with easy, implementable strategies. First, let's hear a word from our sponsors. Hey there. If you're looking for a game changer in managing your ADHD, let me tell you about something that's made a huge impact on my life. Focused, the adult ADHD group coaching program by Kristen Carter. This isn't just another program. It's a community. It's a roadmap. It's a lifeline for adults with ADHD who want to thrive. Inside of Focus, you'll find weekly coaching calls with Kristen packed with actionable insights, a supportive community of adults who get it. They get what it's like to live with ADHD. You'll get tools and strategies that actually work for our brains. No fluff, just real results. I've been a part of Focused for over a year, and let me tell you, it's where I've learned so much of what I share with you on Authentically ADHD. It's been a game changer for me, and I think it could be for you too. And here's the best part. If you use my link to join, we both save money. It's a win-win. So if you've been looking for the right ADHD support, this is your sign to check it out. Head to the link in my show notes to learn more and sign up. Let's thrive together with tools and support that we need to succeed. Are you also loving what we're doing on Authentically ADHD but want to take your experience to the next level? Well, I have got something for you. Introducing the Authentically ADHD Patreon, your VIP pass to the ultimate ADHD support hub. As a Patreon member, you'll unlock exclusive perks like early access to every single episode, hear it before anyone else does, a treasure trove of resources that I've made, tools, guides, and worksheets to help you thrive in everyday aspects of life, direct coaching opportunities with me designed to help you harness your ADHD powers, and the cherry on top, an incredible community of like-minded individuals who just get it. You're not alone on this journey, and together we can be unstoppable. By joining Patreon, you're not just supporting the podcast, you're fueling a movement. Together, we're breaking stigmas, embracing authenticity, and creating a world where ADHD is seen as a strength and not just a struggle. So what are you waiting for? Head over to patreon.com/authenticallyADHD and join the family today. Let's keep growing, thriving, and showing up authentically together. Hope to see you over there. Back to the show. So, if you have ADHD, you probably know that emotional regulation can feel like an uphill battle. Whether it's frustration, anxiety, overwhelm, rejection sensitivity, sadness, our brains tend to experience emotions a little more intensely, and often we have a harder time calming down once we're triggered. This happens because of our dysregulated stress response. Our brains tend to produce higher levels of cortisol, that stress hormone, and struggle to activate self-soothing mechanisms as quickly as a neurotypical brain does. This can lead to frequent emotional outbursts or meltdowns, increased anxiety and tension, difficulty shifting out of stress mode, trouble managing frustrations, and impulsive reactions. But here's where movement comes in. It's one of the fastest and most effective ways to reset the stress response cycle. If you've listened to any of my podcasts on stress or burnout, I talk a lot about the stress response cycle. And movement is one of the ways that we can bring our brains and bodies back to the baseline. So how does exercise lower cortisol and boost our mood? When we move our body, several things happen biochemically that directly support emotional regulation. First, cortisol reduction. Exercise lowers the stress hormone levels, helping the body exit fight or flight mode faster. This is really critical for ADHD brains who often struggle to turn off stress once it's been activated. Then there's the endorphin release, called the feel-good chemicals. Endorphins naturally elevate mood, reducing feelings of stress and irritability. They work similarly to natural antidepressant, right? Helping to balance emotions that increase overall well-being. It's the same thing if you were to say, instead of taking antidepressant, you do this. And I'm not saying this for all people who are depressed, but I've literally thought that I was clinically depressed before, but really I just had low levels of vitamin D and I wasn't working out enough. Like, it's like taking a vitamin D supplement because the sun is not there, right? So maybe our antidepressants aren't working as well, or maybe we don't want to go on antidepressants to help with our mood. So exercise or movement can all do some of the same thing and work very similarly to natural antidepressant. This increases our overall well-being, right? So the next one is it increases GABA, and this is gamma aminobutyric acid. GABA is a neurotransmitter that helps with calm and just release and peace. It helps with calming down your nervous system. Studies show that regular exercise increases GABA activity, which can significantly reduce ADHD-related anxiety, impulsivity, and mood swings. Ask me how I know that this is a thing. Then the last one is heart rate variability improvement. Heart rate variability is a measure of how quickly your body recovers from stress. A lower HRV is often linked to ADHD, anxiety, and poor emotional control. Exercise increases HRV, allowing ADHD brains to transition out of stress states more effectively. This means that exercise is not just a temporary booster. It's literally rewiring how our brains handle stress and emotions over time. I'm thrilled to share some insights from Dr. Maya Patel, a neuroscientist specializing in ADHD research who explains how exercise fundamentally reshapes the brain's emotional regulation pathways. The ADHD brain has structural and functional differences in areas like the amygdala, which is the brain's fear and emotional processing center, and the prefrontal cortex, which helps to regulate emotions and responses to stress. Exercise plays a crucial role in strengthening the connection between these areas, making emotional regulation easier over time. Additionally, exercise increases dopamine, serotonin, and those norepinephrine levels, which not only improve mood and all those things in the moment, but it builds long-term emotional resilience. This means that individuals with ADHD who incorporate regular physical activity into their routine may find themselves less reactive to stressors and better equipped to manage emotional challenges. So let's talk a real-life example. You wake up feeling anxious about the day ahead. Your brain is racing with unfinished tasks, social pressures, and mental clutter. What do? You feel irritable. You feel overwhelmed and on the verge of snapping at any first inconvenience. Now, let's take a look at after exercise. You do a 20-minute workout, a brisk walk, or some dancing or yoga. Suddenly, your body feels lighter, your mind feels quieter, and the tension that felt unbearable just a little bit ago is now manageable. That's because movement signals your brain that the threat is over, literally turning off the fight or flight response, making space for calm, clarity, and rational thinking. So exercise became my emotional anchor. Learning about these mechanisms completely changed how I viewed exercise. Before, I saw it as something I should do for my physical health, work out every day, all the things that the productivity people tell you. But now I recognize it as a cornerstone of my ADHD management toolkit. I've noticed that on days when I do exercise, I handle stress more easily and I don't get as overwhelmed. I feel less emotionally reactive to small frustrations. This is very important because I'm an early childhood special education teacher. So frustrations happen often, and being able to feel less emotionally reactive is important. It's important to be able to name my emotions for the kids and model how to correctly regulate, right? It helps me recover faster from setbacks or difficult conversations. It also helps me sleep better, which further helps with my emotional regulation, focus, and etc., etc. And on days that I don't, I'm a little more anxious, irritable, and a little more easily triggered. That's why I've built exercise into my daily routine, not as a chore, but as a form of self-care and emotional maintenance. And now that I've been doing it for more than 3 years, I think actually more than almost 4 now, it's built into my brain. Again, I don't feel right if I don't do it. So, the link between exercise and emotional regulation in ADHD is undeniable. Movement is one of the most powerful, immediate, and natural ways to lower stress, balance emotions, and train the brain to handle challenges more effectively. So, let's talk about 5 tips to help people with ADHD ease into working movement into your daily routines. I have come up with 5 unique and ADHD-friendly tips to help adults ease into adding more movement into their daily routines. Are you ready? Remember my caveat about tips. Take what works, drop what doesn't, and after maybe choosing a tip and using it, stop, reflect, reevaluate, and adjust. All right, number 1, habit stacking with movement. Pair movement with an existing habit to make it effortless. ADHD brains thrive on multitasking, dopamine-friendly activities. So try walking around while listening to your favorite podcast or audiobook, doing squats or stretching while brushing your teeth, marching in place while waiting for your coffee to brew. Use a standing desk when you're doing your work. Why does this work? Your brain already expects you to do the existing habit, so movement naturally fits in without needing the extra motivation. Number 2, use the just 1 minute rule. I love this one. Instead of setting a huge fitness goal, commit to 1 minute of movement at a time. Do 1 minute of jumping jacks before sitting down to work. Stretch for 1 minute before bed to unwind. Try a 1 minute dance break in between tasks. As you go, you can add a minute each day, each week, whatever feels right for you. Why does this work? The ADHD brain resists overwhelming commitments, but once we start small and reasonably and realistically, we're really likely to keep going beyond the 1 minute mark. Number 3, make a movement a brain reset. So like I said, instead of seeing exercise as a separate word like workout, use it as a tool to reset your brain throughout the day. Feeling stuck on a task? Walk around for 2 minutes. Overwhelmed? Do a few yoga pauses to calm your mind or dance it out. Need to shift focus? Do 10 push-ups or jumping jacks or shake it out. Why does this work? Movement reboots your executive functions, helping you regain focus, lower stress, and stay on track. Number 4, gamify it. Another favorite of mine. Turn movement into a dopamine-boosting game that keeps you engaged. Use a step tracking app and challenge yourself to beat your daily count. I am telling you right now, you do not have permission to use this podcast against yourself. So if you're a person who likes streaks and doesn't think they'll be able to meet these, challenges to beat your daily count or whatever, please don't use tips like this. These things work for me. They may not work for you. They may make you feel worse about yourself, okay? So really take into consideration what would work for you and what won't. I like using my Fitbit watch with my Fitbit app, and the little circles filling up really gives me dopamine. For other people, it's stressful and they feel like they have to meet that circle. They feel like they have to beat the yesterday's score. And if we're continuously doing that, it becomes unhealthy. All right? Play movement-based video games like Ring Fit Adventure or Just Dance. There are tons and tons of AR games nowadays. Find one you like. Then you can set a reward. If you move for 10 minutes, you get 5 minutes of guilt-free TikTok scrolling. Look at that. Why does this work? Because rewards plus novelty plus challenge equal ADHD-friendly motivation. Ask me how I know. Create a movement-friendly environment. Make movement the default option by setting up your space for easy, impulsive movement. Keep a yoga mat or resistance bands nearby to encourage quick use. Swap traditional desk or chair for a stability ball or a standing desk. Make sure your shoes, like your tennis shoes, your walking shoes, are right there next to the place that you work out at. Put things slightly out of reach so you have to stand up and grab them. For example, place your phone across the room. Place your pen over on the other side of the desk. Put your water bottle upstairs. Put things slightly out of reach so you have to stand up and walk a little bit to go get them. Why does this work? If movement is visible and accessible, you'll be more likely to do it without overthinking. The key is not to integrate movement into your daily life in ways that Wait, let me start that over again. Talking is getting hard. This is probably one of the longer podcasts I've done recently, and I wanted to do this because the top listened episode on my podcast is the ADHD and exercise, why it works. I recorded that episode 2 years ago. So I really love that I am revisiting this topic because I still use these tips. I still use exercise and movement to help me naturally before I take my medication. So I hope that you took away something from this episode that may inspire you to build a little bit of movement into your day. Something interesting I did come across, and this is not in the show notes, but Haley Honeyman, one of my favorite ADHD influencers, she did an experiment about standing on one foot. Now, I think it's for 5 total minutes. I forget. You can find it on her YouTube channel, Haley Honeyman. It's spelled just like it sounds, and it is really interesting. So even just standing on one foot and then switching and standing on the other foot, 5 minutes apiece, apparently really, really like balances our brains. And I've tried it, and it really did seem like it worked. So here is some final thoughts. The key is to integrate movement into your daily life in ways that feel natural, fun, and achievable. No need for an intense workout routine, just small intentional actions that add up over time. And if you feel like you need help with these things, reach out. Go to my Linktree and request a free coaching call. Join my community on Facebook. It's free. Thrivers, not survivors. Go find a community that you like and join it. Go find a accountability buddy. Do something that is going to help you maybe build some of that, and just start. Just start. That's all I want you to do, is just start. So today we've explored multifaceted benefits of exercise for the ADHD brain, from neurotransmitter regulation to enhanced executive function and improved emotional resilience. I encourage you to explore how exercise can fit into your daily routine, whether it's yoga, swimming, or dancing. Find what brings you joy and support your ADHD journey. Thank you for joining me again on another episode of Authentically ADHD. Please remember to share out this episode to a friend you might think it will help. Ask your questions down in the comments or on a post on my social media. You can find all of those in the link tree down below. Now remember, the key to thriving with ADHD is embracing our unique strengths and finding strategies that work for us. Stay tuned for more, but that's all I have for now. Stay authentic, and we will talk soon.